This story is quite surprising if I don't say so myself. Take a look at this. This is from Airwars, who's tracked this stuff very closely. Declared strikes by U.S. President in Iraq and Syria. Look at the difference. So Barack Obama led the way with airstrikes in Iraq and Syria. Then was Donald Trump. You could look at the strikes, over 16,000 for Obama, right at 16,000 for Donald Trump. Joe Biden in Iraq and Syria, nothing. Now, I'm going to give you all the qualifiers after this, so bear with me because I think all the facts are important here. But the United States and its 13 kinetic allies, part of an international alliance usually known as the Coalition, began an extensive campaign against the so-called Islamic State, blah, 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 blah. You get the deal. There were more than 34,000 airstrikes, air and artillery strikes. Now, you say, well, Kyle, how does that translate into civilian deaths? We'll take a look. Civilian deaths by U.S. President in Iraq and Syria. So under Barack Obama, we have over 5,000, nearly 6,000 civilian deaths. This is the drone war we're talking about here. Donald Trump, over 13,000 civilian deaths because he got rid of a lot of the whatever meager rules remained. Donald Trump axed those rules. Joe Biden, nothing. Now, let's talk about this a little more, because now at first I was like, okay, well, this source is questionable. But the source isn't really all that questionable because this is the source that we got the original news on the drone war from. Now, Daniel Hale gave us the fact that 90% of the time they're killing innocent people with drones under the Obama administration. Trump increased, as you can see, the number of civilian deaths. But I also had read that Trump increased the number of drone strikes by 432%. And that doesn't really reflect in these numbers. So Airwars was the source for this stuff early on. It looks like they're still tracking this stuff closely. But there's also this problem. We know that Donald Trump got rid of the basically reporting requirement for the airstrikes. So on his way out the door, he was like, you don't even have to, calculate the number of strikes and calculate the number of civilian deaths. We're just going to axe that completely. So in other words, the president can do all these things with impunity and you don't even need to know what's going on. So that's one problem. Another problem is there have been reports in print outlets, and again, print always does a better job than TV. And in print outlets, they say, we've covered stories where, he's bombed Somalia, he's bombed Yemen. And by the way, they go on with other charts, and it shows there have been civilian deaths in Yemen and Somalia and in some other places. But we did hear about a strike in Syria where 80 people were killed. There was reporting on that. Of course, we know about the Afghanistan strike. Now, Afghanistan wasn't in this chart, but the Afghanistan strike, they killed a number of children. So it's not like he totally halted the drone war. He's still doing some bombings, but it is true that there hasn't been anywhere near the volume that we learn about in print outlets. So here's my point. I don't think that this graph is perfectly accurate, because there is a discrepancy between some bombings where civilians died that we know of, and it doesn't look like it's appearing in the chart. Now, I don't know if that's because the bombings were traditional airstrikes and not drone strikes, and this chart is just tracking drone strikes. I'm not 100% sure. So I don't think this chart is exactly accurate. I don't think he halted the drone war, but has he massively cut back compared to Barack Obama and Donald Trump? That, I think, is indisputable. I think he's really reeled it in. Again, since they don't have to report it or declare it, it's possible he's still doing some of it, but you would hear more about it in print outlets if it was happening all the time, and you just don't. So if I had to venture a guess how much he's cut it, and to be fair, you sort of have to analyze the same window for both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. You have to do however many days Biden has been in office. An apples-to-apples comparison would be better, of course. But if I had to venture a guess of how much he's cut back, 60, 70%, something like that, the drone war, maybe a little more than that. So it's certainly not as good as what the chart makes it look like. Like, oh, he totally stopped the drone war. If he did completely halt the drone war, I'll be singing his praises and I'll be giving him massive credit, just like I did when he pulled out of Afghanistan. He got all the boots on the ground out of Afghanistan. Just like I gave him credit when he signed the executive order to raise the minimum wage for federal contractors and federal employees to $15 an hour. I gave him credit. I'll be fair. So I don't think the chart is totally accurate. I don't think he totally halted the drone war, but cutting it back 60 or 70%, look, that's a start. And I think that's roughly what he did, and so I think you got to give him credit for that. So I guess we got to wait to get more reporting on this, and obviously they need to bring those disclosure rules back so we can have a better sense of it and not just really take educated guesses at it. But I wouldn't be surprised if old Joe did inch in the right direction on this front, because he did inch in the right direction on Afghanistan when he's like, I'm totally getting out. And he even stood up to the media and the military-industrial complex in the process of doing that. So in one sense, credit where it's due. You got to keep it real. But in another sense, we do need more information, and we do need the disclosure rules back. So, look, I'll stay on top of this and let you guys know what ends up developing. But for what it's worth, even given all the qualifiers and caveats, it's definitely a step in the right direction. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.